I think the people that I get to work with day in, day out, the culture from the top down. We're a God-fearing, God-honoring company. He has blessed us, and to work in a place like that day in, day out is truly, I think, an exception in our country. I wish we had more places like that.
Good afternoon. I'd like to go ahead and convene the meeting on a special tax hearing. And welcome to this meeting scheduled at 3 p.m. on September 9th on the third floor of the Amarillo City Commission Chamber. First item of business is notice of public hearing on tax increase. The City of Amarillo is considering a tax rate of 32,009, which is 1 cent higher than the current rate. This proposed rate will raise more taxes than last year's rate. The tax rate will effectively be raised by 3.51%. The tax on the average home last year was $344.12. The tax on the average home would be $360.57 under the proposed rate. Are there any comments from the Commission? Any comments from the audience?
I'm Jimmy Presley Anderson, over at 1514 South Pier. Afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners.
How are you, Mr. Jones?
I'm doing good today.
Good.
I'm glad it cooled down a little bit.
I am too.
Perfect time. This yesterday made 12 years that I bought my house.
That's good.
And yeah, it's a heck of a deal. It's a great feeling. Calling your own home.
That's right.
I agree with I agree that the streets need redone and maintenance kept up on them. I believe it would be better to fund them by other means than property tax. The county is trying to get a 6% rate on property tax this coming Monday. You've raised the cost of water 12% in a 2-year period. 6 is, I forget what percent was anyway, in a 2-year period. The electric company is thinking about raising their rates. Every year our property value goes up, which makes our property tax goes up. It's hard on taxpayers raising children, especially the ones that have 2 or more children. It's hard on all this extra tax and everything. It's hard on taxpayers on fixed income. Social Security taxpayers, they haven't got a raise in 2 years, and no kind of to get another tax raise again ever. So, Mayor, Commissioners, please consider another way for funding this project besides property tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ernst. Any other comments?
My name is Philip Lopez, and I've lived here all my life, other than the time I did in the Navy in Vietnam and all.
Philip, can you give your address, please?
3804 Northeast 24th, and I lived there about going on 46 years. I've lived in Amarillo most of my life. You know, everybody's gouging. You talk about the city of Amarillo. We are the city of Amarillo, the taxpayers of the city of Amarillo. We elected you all. And everybody's gouging the middle class. I had a heart attack here a while back, and I'm a veteran, so the veterans take care of that. But the hospital wouldn't accept, the ESA would accept a bunch of insurances. I have an insurance. If you're a senior citizen, you got Medicare, Medicaid, but you need a supplement. You know, everything is to guide that middle class. You stretching that poor sucker out till he's going to break. You know, this don't seem like much, but your electric bill is going to go up. They already said that. If we have a hard winter, your gas will go up, which more than likely it will go up. We're suffering the drought here in Texas right now. Cost of groceries is already going up. It's going to get higher. We're going to have to pay for them fires and all this stuff. I think it's the wrong time to throw a tax on the taxpayer. They measured the same little house I've been living in for 46 years, and it goes up all the time. If I do a little improvement, if I paint the darn thing, it goes up. If I do a driveway because I can't get in there because it's mud, you know, it goes up. I did a driveway here a while back. It goes up. Any improvement that you do, and it's always the little guy. It's always the guy that's working for a living. You know, you're talking about a ballpark here. We didn't even have a meeting on it. We did this Globe News deal, and we had to pay for most of that. We had to pay out of that, and they didn't bring no money, maybe for certain people that did. The ballpark that we got, it hadn't even been filled. It never is filled. I'd like to see Amarillo, if they're going to do something, start doing like Fort Worth, Wichita Falls, Dallas, build big old buildings. And that's where Justin Booth to come in. That's where women's clothing company to come in. Anybody to come in and put the people to work, you know. Pancakes is fixing to do a lot of construction work. But there's a lot of out-of-town contractors on that, what all, you know, and they'll be getting some of that money. But the thing is, you keep stressing that middle class. We are Amarillo. We are the taxpayer. So people say, well, where are we going to get this? From the taxpayer. And everybody, you get guys all the time. If I hadn't been a veteran, I couldn't have paid to go to BSA on an ambulance, $2,000 to go on an ambulance. If you got Medicare, Medicaid, you need a supplement. I called it up my insurance company that I had. Oh, we don't accept that. We don't accept Blue Cross Blue Shield. We don't accept that. I went to BSA. Well, the veterans paid for my stent and my heart problem, you know. But if you ain't got that, you know, you're in trouble. You die here. If you ain't got that, if you ain't got some kind of insurance, they just throw you out, you know. We're real good on raising stuff for people. I went to school here. They wouldn't have nobody giving us books or giving us nothing. Your parents bought that. Coat drive, shoe drive, all that stuff. This is a paradise for homeless right now. They'll tell you.
We're going to have to ask you to limit your comments. Thank you.
That's all I've got. But anyway, look, we are Amarillo, and there's no use in gouging that, stretching out that taxpayer further and further. Everybody hits you. It'd be all right. It's not a big amount until you see all the amounts that everybody gets from it.
Thank you. Philip, may I ask you something? I'm 61 years old. How old are you? Do you mind telling me?
I'm 67 years old.
This will not affect you, sir. Thank you.
It will affect relatives, though, and it will affect taxpayers.
Absolutely.
It affects my children that are getting houses.
It's frozen, and it makes it more of a burden on the younger people.
Right. But if somebody doesn't speak up, they're working right now.
Appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Appreciate your time, sir.
I'd like to make a comment. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Rogers, and I live at 5309 Andrews Avenue. I came to the meeting on Tuesday because I was astonished that y'all were raising taxes again, and I didn't say anything then. I thought, well, surely somebody will step up and say something, and I think our mayor hit it. It doesn't affect the people who are interested, and so I didn't want to do this, but I felt like I needed to. So I did some research, looked at what has been said, and I looked through the colossal budget. I only got through 25 pages. So I do appreciate your huge job to go through that. But all the same, your city manager in one of the articles in the paper said that this would be our single best year in the city's history for sales tax, raising the sales tax. That's so correct. I just wonder why we need to raise the property taxes if we have an extra $3 million, roughly, that was unexpected to cover what is, I think, is about $1 million worth of projects. Is that what we're trying to raise about? From what I understand on the numbers. I don't have, the expertise in this area, but this is just, I have a problem with that, and I wanted to see what y'all had to say, what that money's being used on.
I may be able to explain that to a degree and then ask Mr. Atkinson to add to it if you'd like. We budgeted last year knowing that our sales tax had been raised. And so when we budgeted, we added 10 policemen under the regular budget that we were able to put together with that increase. And then we were short 2 of what the policemen requested, 2 more policemen. And we knew that we could not meet the needs of resurfacing the streets to the degree that would draw the number of years down between our resurfacing projects. Today, our resurfacing projects have gone up from 7 to 10 years up to 29 years. And so we recognize that, and we aren't in total agreement on it, but we recognize that there would be a ability with a little extra money to spend on streets to preclude the failure of those streets. If the streets fail, it's 10 times more costly to replace them. Something that might be educational to you that was for me until I saw this, I thought it was an important thing. When I saw this, I thought it was critical. Someone referred to me, a citizen here said, Paul, look up what's going on in Tulsa. He said, I go there every year, at least twice a year. And so I looked up Tulsa streets on the internet, and it is a horrendous story about how they cut back their resurfacing. And today, 20 years later, they're required to spend, now this is a town 3 times our size, so let's pare this back to be fair, but they're spending $1.6 billion, and it will take them until the year 2022 to perform those tasks. Today, in Tulsa, there's there's 121 street projects taking place, with projected to be at least that until the year 2022. If we pare that back and we said there were equals, let's say the square miles of our streets were the same as theirs, pared down by 2/3, that would mean somewhere around $560 million to do what happens if they fail, which is 10 times more expensive than. And that's what convinced me that we had to take some steps. And I understand the concern. I mean, in our family, when I was young, we mixed half and half milk. My mother was the best coupon clipper of anybody in the world, and she taught us those values, and I believe in those values. But I believe it's an insurance policy to reduce our risk for failed streets later on. That's my belief. We'll see how the other commissioners vote, but I believe it's very important that we protect the streets. And the fact is, if sales tax goes up, and if we were able to generate something from downtown, this could be pared back at a future date, but I don't want to see us fail streets. I'm not saying it would be, but I'm saying that I don't want to see those failed streets. And I wanted to put something in so we can continue to raise the number of policemen in our city. We saw over and over again the number of policemen needed to be raised, because as we grow 20,000 people and we don't grow policemen, that ratio just becomes harder and harder to manage. Too few policemen for every citizen, and response times goes up. So for me personally, that's the things that I've looked at. I understand your concerns. I grew up with concerns about dollars. We weren't poor, but we didn't have anything extra. And I'll tell you, it is an important issue for me. And I appreciate your input so much. I don't know if that answers it enough to.
I'm totally there for the. I have a brother-in-law in police enforcement, and I know that there's a need, a great need, and I understand on the streets. I think that's y'all's basic duty as the city is to provide those two things.
I agree.
I think that maybe we're misspending some of our money on other superfluous things.
Well, it is a concern, and I will tell you from this group that we spent 3 days from 8 to 5, basically, searching through that 640-page budget that will be trimmed down now. It was actually more than that. Looking for things that would avail us of what we need without going up at all. And I concluded from my part that we needed to make this 1 cent increase. It also leaves us, for comparison purposes, about 8 cents under our nearest nearest city in Texas. We are still the second lowest in the state of Texas for taxes. And we are concerned. I share your concern, but I felt it was much more difficult for me to justify the risk of streets failing than it was to do this. I appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Mayor.
Sir.
If I may, ma'am, Ms. Rogers, you had asked about this increase in sales taxes that we had last year. Let me take you back to the year 2008 when the economy got tanked and sales taxes were going down month after month after month. The city, we do not deficit spend. We don't go in the hole. We don't borrow our money to operate. So we started paring back and not spending monies that had been budgeted. This last year allowed us to catch up on some of those things that we didn't do 3 years ago. And so we didn't bank the extra $3 million in sales taxes. Incrementally, as the year went on, we did things that we had put off for previous years. If that's an explanation.
That helps. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your comments.
And one other correction on the Performing Arts Center. That was a $34 million project. And at the very end, they were short about $2 million. So the taxpayers, in fact, the taxpayers didn't pay any part of that. It came out of the Civic Center reserve funds. that is created from hotel and motel taxes. This little extra
From
money.
visitors, from people that spend money at our
Well,
hotels.
it's supposed to be, you weren't supposed to pay them nothing, and you know, you do these things and you don't ever have a public speak. We are the taxpayers. Have a vote on it. I don't mind paying this, but go for, throw it out there and the taxpayer, the people that pay the taxes. Like I say, we're getting stretched out further and further. Some people are gonna benefit by what's going on. I know that. I've already checked into that. I don't need to point no finger, but some people will benefit, some won't. But the taxpayer, the property owner, will get stretched out further and further on all this stuff, you know.
Commissioner Eads would like to make a comment.
It's interesting how there are a lot of different ways to kind of skin the cats that are these debates. I am the lone voice opposed to this 1 cent increase, though I do think we need a small increase for additional police officers. But I do have to say, I agree with everything that my fellow commissioners have said. I agree with you regarding the streets. I think that money needs to be spent. I agree with you regarding the police. We spent a lot of time, as he said, 3 days trying to decide what was worthy of additional expenditures and what wasn't. The only place that I differ with my fellow commissioners is how we raise this money. One way is through property tax, and one way is waiting a little bit to see all the benefits of our downtown reinvestment and the additional revenue that that's going to bring. You can raise revenue for city functions 2 ways. One is you can increase taxes. One is that you can foster economic development. You can foster economic development, and you can grow your way into additional revenues. And that's the argument that I would make. I agree that the mayor feels that's an additional 2 to 3 years that could be lost with continuing declining streets, and I think he has a very good point with that. But I believe so strongly in the investments we've agreed to make downtown, bringing $70 million in outside private capital into this community. I think that we could solve the problem that way. So I understand what you folks are saying, but I do have to say I do agree with all the needs for the additional expenditures that have been discussed today.
We have considered this thoughtfully, and we appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to comment? If not, this meeting is adjourned.